This is day 2 of me wearing the beeper. Last time I was watching TV, so it was kind of mindless, but now I'm studying, so we'll see how that changes my thoughts, the different setting. I'm not going to do as many updates this time just because I feel like we talk about it in the interview anyways, so I'll just cut straight to that, save you some time. Thanks for watching.
So you have any questions about descriptive experience sampling or this process or whatever before we dive into it?
I actually did. I had someone that had a question, and they wanted to know if you've ever experienced a patient that originally didn't have the ability to initiate self-speech, but then later on was able to like figure out how to do it or teach themselves.
I would say I have never encountered such a thing. I wouldn't say that I think that's not possible. I would say that in the way that we've been doing our work, we're not in a position to actually see that happen. You'd have to be sampling people over a long period of time or whatever. Or sampling people when some relatively dramatic event happened. And we don't aim at that, and so therefore we don't really get a chance to see it.
But is it possible?
Yes.
Okay, good. It's the answer I was looking for. First one, for most of this I was studying today, so I just wanted to see how everything would work out while I was studying.
Okay.
And I was reading about embolic ischemia and thrombotic ischemia, and when the beeper went off, I was reading the word embolic, and I was saying the word internally to myself, but I was also trying to like attach an image to it just to like help me remember it because that's how I study. But at the time of the beep, I didn't have an image attached to it yet, but I do remember trying to attach an image at that time.
And so there are, if I'm understanding this correctly, there's sort of two things going on. I'm reading and innerly speaking embolic.
Yeah.
And I am trying to form an image of that without success.
Yes, it's not without success. It just like I couldn't think of something at that time to attach. Like it takes a few seconds to like figure out something that makes sense to me.
So I'm speaking embolic ischemia. And at the moment the beep catches me in embolic. And do I understand myself as speaking that whole sentence, the whole sentence that I'm reading, as opposed to just, so it's not like I've singled out this word embolic and I'm saying just that. I'm saying the whole sentence and the beep happens to catch me?
Correct.
Okay. And I understood you to say this is in my own voice. I'm speaking.
Yeah, in my own voice at the same pace that I would read out loud.
And so is this experience, I'm basically reading out loud, except the words aren't coming out of my mouth?
Correct.
Okay.
I know that like when you read, you're not supposed to read every word individually, but I do that, and it's a slow process, but I've always done it, and I can't do it the other way.
And then so let's turn our attention then to the part about trying to form an image. And what I understand so far is that I actually apprehend myself as trying to form an image. That I'm working at it, and that's before the footlights of my consciousness. Is that
Yeah,
right?
so I'm aware, so I'm reading at the same time as I'm trying to get a visual. So like I'm searching my brain for like something that reminds me of what an embolism is, and at that time I didn't reach that.
And is there anything more to be said about what searching my brain, what that means?
I think so. I was trying to differentiate the difference between an embolism and a thrombus, and I was trying to visualize like something moving in a blood vessel as opposed to something that's stationary in a blood vessel. So I was trying to get an image that was memorable, and by searching it, it's probably just something that I've seen, whether like a video or something of like an animation of it. So I was just trying to search for something similar to that.
So searching could mean I'm looking for something, but I'm not seeing anything.
So it was hazy at that time. So like I was trying to like get more definition to the image. So like I knew where I was going with it, but I didn't reach the final destination. Like I didn't know exactly what I wanted, but I knew the infrastructure of the visual that I needed, if that makes sense. So I was having trouble trying to get a prescription from my doctor today. So I have a doctor in South Carolina, but he can't prescribe medicine across state lines. So like I was in constant communication throughout the day trying to get that issue resolved. I was printing out my study guide, and while I was printing out, I started to daydream a little bit, just waiting. Um, and I said verbally, no, I heard the doctor say in my voice, the doctor said, I'll do it, but I'm going to discontinue care. And I could visualize the doctor saying it. I saw he was wearing a plaid shirt, and it's not even what he wore the last time I saw him.
So I see him and I hear him say,
Yeah, in my own voice, he said, I'll do it, as in like I'll prescribe it, I'll do it, but I'm going to discontinue care, as in stop seeing me as a patient.
right. And he's saying it, but he's saying it in your voice.
Yes, it's my voice. I don't hear it in a different cadence as I did from the last beep. It's the same cadence of myself from the last beep.
So first off, I see him. Is this correct? I see the doctor. He's wearing a plaid shirt. And do I see him from the waist up or the whole body or?
Waist up, but he's looking like this, and I'm almost looking at him. I don't see me, who he's talking to, but I see him from like the side angle,
Okay.
like a side profile.
And do you see him clearly?
More clearly than I did when I was trying to think of an embolus, but it wasn't like a photograph or anything. It's very hard to describe this because it's not an actual image it's not like I was like looking out a window, so like I was seeing the outside. But it was very clear to the point where I saw the angle, I saw his face, I saw his shirt, but it wasn't like high definition.
So sometimes in that it seems like it was pretty clear, and other times it seems like it's not clear. So is that the way I should understand it?
In terms of how I usually visualize things, it was on the clearer end of that spectrum.
And in color?
Yes. So he was wearing like a whitish, bluish button-up shirt.
Okay.
Almost similar pattern to what you're wearing, except it was white and the lines were blue.
Okay. And is he in motion as he says, as these words are spoken?
No, I don't see the mouth move.
And so then there are words that I hear. I'm understanding I hear these words, and these words.
I hear it, but it's in like my thinking voice. I heard some people say that like if they wanted to think of like Morgan Freeman's voice, they could do it. It wasn't like that. It was mine that I think in on a daily basis.
I do not hear Ryan speaking. I hear the doctor speaking, who happens to be, for whatever reason, speaking with Ryan's vocal qualities.
Yes, correct.
And is this something, so I'm understanding this is not something your doctor has already told you, you're just imagining he might say something like this.
It was a huge conflict of the day, and it was on my mind for most of the day. He's horrible. I'll cut that.
Let's hope he doesn't decide to check out your YouTube channel.
I'll shout him out. I don't care. I was on social media looking at a picture, like scrolling through Instagram, and I was looking at a picture of a girl, and I thought to myself about the beeper when I was doing it. I was conscious of the beeper, imagining that I was talking to you guys, just like the last scene, like I was like daydreaming again. And I said, I was looking at a picture, answering your question of what were you doing when the beeper went off? And I said, I was looking at a picture in this daydream. Yeah, this one had no visuals. I just said it, not really initiating the words, so it just kind of flowed out. And then the beeper went off in the middle of that sentence.
So you are scrolling through Instagram.
In this exact chair right here.
Okay, and you are at the moment of the beep. Are you looking at the picture of the girl?
I'm looking at the picture, and I was like aware of the beeper. I'm like, this is gonna be weird if the beeper goes off. And then I stimulated the visual of me talking to you guys, and then saying, I was looking at a picture.
So it's as if I'm speaking to, I guess, me and Dr. Hurlbert, but you don't see us.
No, but I know it's directed towards you guys.
And so does that mean, sort of like I showed here, that the thought about the beeper and like, what if I get beeped here, that has kind of come and gone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
So that's come and gone, and now I'm just in the daydream of saying it to us.
Yeah, it's not like I was just staring at like one picture for like a long time. I was scrolling through and like stopping and looking at each picture, and like within the 3 seconds that it takes me to look at a picture, all of that happened.
You don't see us, but are we somehow present to you?
Yes, like I feel the presence, but there's no visual attached to it. It's just me just talking to myself. There's no visuals. Like how I feel now, like getting looked at by both of you guys and answering these questions, I kind of felt that, but to a lesser degree. I just knew that it was there. But like you asked if I heard it or said it, but I heard it, but it's almost like I was hearing it being said, but feeling myself say it, if that makes sense. So it's like it's layered to the point where I was daydreaming about saying something. So like I felt the fact that I was saying something, but I didn't initiate any of these words. It just came out.
So it sounds to me like maybe there is no good answer to this question. Speaking and hearing is not, in the real world, is a very different, two very different things. But in the experiential world, sometimes there's not a distinction to be made.
I think I don't have an issue like remembering or recognizing my experience. I have difficulty translating it to like layman's terms, to like where people like they're not experiencing what I'm experiencing. So I'm trying to describe it as real events as much as possible to like put it into perspective. I had a study guide, and on the study guide there were questions given to me. And I was studying for the test, so I was reading the question and trying to answer the question without like looking at the answer that I wrote down. And to do this, I like read it and then I closed my eyes to try to. I'm like I have a good spatial memory, so like I could tell where in my notes I wrote down the question. So I closed my eyes and then it beeped while I was seeing the paragraph on the paper that had the answer in it. I didn't come to the answer yet, so like I didn't know the answer to the question. I was just honing in on my notes and where in my notes the answer was.
I've understood so far, is that at the moment of this beep, I am innerly seeing. I am seeing the page on which this answer is going to appear, but I so far haven't seen the answer.
Yes, I haven't seen the answer. I could see like almost like the block. I can't see the individual words, just like the block of the paragraph that the answer is in. I remember typing it, so I remember seeing the paragraph on the paper. I knew it was in the bottom half of the paper. I could spatially tell. It's not a clear picture of the paper. It's more of blobs of spatial awareness of like where it is on a paper, but like I don't actually see the paper, if that makes sense. It's more of I know where it's located without actually seeing a physical piece of paper or the physical words. It's just where it would be spatially on a piece of paper.
Is my experience at the moment of the beep one of seeing a page that is not elaborated, not very elaborated, but my experience is of seeing it. I see a blob here and a blob there, and so that's a visual experience.
Mm-hmm.
Or is my experience one of cognition or knowing or something? I know that the answer is most of the way down this page, even though I don't see anything about the page there. That
can it be a combination of the both?
It could be, or it could be something entirely different. So
like I knew that it was a third down the page, so then I visualized the page.
So the question is your experience of knowing that it's a third of the way down, or of seeing the unelaborated page, or both, or neither?
It's both. So I knew it's a third of the way down, and then the picture, I had to form the picture to find the answer.
Okay. And in our timeline, does that mean that I know it's a third of the way down, and now I form this unelaborated picture and beep?
Perfect. Yeah,
And
exactly. Me knowing that it's a third of the way down is right here. I start to form the image, beep. So at the moment of the beep, it's just the image. It's okay. Where I could visualize that block. So I have to locate it, and then I'll visualize like the shape of where the answer is in. So it's not necessary. I don't necessarily see the answer like word by word. I see it as a shape on the paper, and then I will remember typing it. But at that point, it was just the blocks. It was the block.
And not only did you know that, but you saw that. Is that correct?
I saw the thick. I could tell that the answer was in this thick part. Like this part's thinner. So if I wanted to know the answer, I would know that it's in this part right here, and then I would try to visualize that, and then I would remember.
But my experience at the moment of the beep is an unelaborated image.
Yes, at the moment of the beep, it was a block. It was a paragraph shape, and it wasn't vivid or anything. It's just it was a block of words. The doctor that I was talking about, beep 3, responded. What?
I said your favorite doctor.
Oh, that guy. So I was on the phone with them all day, and they said just message them on the portal, which is like the place where I could like communicate to them. I sent him like a long message that was like well thought out, like I put in work to it, and then he just responded with like a one sentence that said, "Best of luck. I'm not gonna send a prescription over state lines." That's all he said. And what happened in that moment was I was typing back. I was halfway through a sentence trying to think of how to phrase the sentence without sounding like I wrote in my notes a condescending asshole. Because like I was feeling like anger at that moment, and I was trying to like control the anger while I was trying to figure out what to say back to him. And the context of what I was saying was about neglect and like neglecting patients, and I was trying to figure out how to phrase it in a way that was not rude, because that's all I kept thinking about.
Okay, and am I also, you mentioned something about feeling angry, and now I want to know, do I experience that anger? Like, do I feel angry in my direct experience at this moment?
Yeah, I have to like control, because the anger is dictating the phrasing of how I'm trying to write back to him, and I'm trying to like push that aside to think of something that's more nice to say or professional.
So does it seem like I am in a sort of emotional state, and my trying to think of what to say is like driven by some anger going on, but I don't really have a feeling of anger? Or I am angry and I feel angry. There's something present to me, a feeling of anger, and I'm doing this, figuring out what to say.
Whenever I write, for the most part, it's stream of consciousness where it just kind of flows out and I just type what I'm thinking. It was like
Okay.
that, except I did not like the stream of consciousness. It was rude. I was being an asshole. And it was verbal. It was words, it was fluent sentences. And then I would think of one and I'd be like, can't say that. Think of one, can't say that. So when the beep went off, I was in the middle of thinking of a sentence, and I sounded like a condescending asshole at that time.
I've heard, well, I'm feeling angry, and that might be central in my experience. And I've heard, I'm evaluating myself as a condescending asshole. That might be central in my experience. Or I am thinking of the words that I might say. That could be central in my experience.
That's
or all of the above, or something else, or none of the above, or whatever.
I'm more focused on the words that are coming, that I'm trying to think to write. So it's more so these words are flowing out. That's the central part of this experience, is the words are flowing out organically, and I can't write. I'm choosing not to write that, and then it beeps, and it was happening for a while. So like I was getting writer's block, I guess you want to call it, and I was just sitting there for a while, and it beeped when I was just thinking of ways to phrase a sentence.
And what exactly are the words that the beep catches?
At that moment, I appreciate the generous amount of time that you spent writing back. It was along the lines of that, which was sarcastic, and I was like, I can't write that.
Okay. So something to the effect of like, oh, thanks for the time spent on your response.
Yes, because clearly he did not spend much time on it.
And those words seem to just be rolling out. Like I'm not really even engaged in this word process. I'm just hearing my voice say what I might say in this response.
Yeah, that's why I like writing so much, because it just comes out, and I just write what I am thinking. And I know people don't like writing because they have to like form every word that they're writing about. For me, it's just, it comes out natural, and then I edit after.
And how about the asshole part? Are you at the moment of the beep in some way noticing or monitoring or whatever your tone and trying to make sure you don't sound like an asshole?
I would say that I would hear the words, feel like an asshole. Hear another sentence, feel like an asshole. And then when it beeped, I was in the middle of one of those. So it was like a cycle going through.
Do you feel angry? Does it make sense to say that there's something else in my experience at this moment and it's a feeling of anger? Or really I'm just in this, I'm making angry, sarcastic comments at this guy?
No, I'm feeling the anger. And I think that's what's, once you keep telling me not to theorize, but that's what's causing the sarcastic statements, is like just me like feeling like I need to be an asshole, but I obviously knew I can't.
How does that feeling present itself to you?
Like in my chest, like I want to punch a wall, but I can't. Like pent up energy. It's not a thought, I don't think.
Literally, I guess, as far as your experience is concerned, like there's something going on in my chest that I'm calling anger.
It's
and
not.
She's not asking a question about the physical chest. She's asking about your experienced chest.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I have some physical sensation of anger or something?
Absolutely. Almost like, yeah, like, you know, when people say like, my blood is boiling, it kind of like that, where like it's not actually like boiling or on fire. You just like, it's like pent up. I don't never explained aggression before in words.
Some people say my blood is boiling, and they mean I feel a bubbly sensation in my veins.
Do they though?
Some people do, yes. And other people use that as a metaphor, because the other people, well, you know, that's what these words have come to mean. And the same thing is true about I feel it in my chest. Some people actually feel and experience in their chest, and other people their anger is entirely mental, but they say, well, I feel it in my heart, just like, because everybody else who's experiencing something like that feels it in their heart. We're interested in your experience, and we don't care whether it matches up with some physical organ or not.
Yeah, that feeling would be relieved if like I screamed or punched something or did something to like release the energy.
Mhm.
Like energy is the best way I could describe it.
Mhm.
A ball of energy in my chest.
And you experience that energy as anger. Is that right?
Yeah.
When it's
I
coming.
think I think I'm gonna each time do it in a different like mind state or different setting. So like the last one I was watching TV, this one I was studying.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the next one's gonna be something entirely different. I haven't thought of that yet though.
Yeah, I think
Cool.
that's good.
Yeah.
All right.
But I would notice that even though this was a study session, you weren't studying all the time. You were
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
going against your doctor one time and looking at Instagram and whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some people procrastinate.